In lieu of CM Punk's triumphant return to professional wrestling, it's clobbering time.
West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
How's it? Welcome to another edition of the Same Old Arsenal USA. You guys know who I am. The best in the world. If I had a dime for everyone in this business who was better than me, I would have 0 dimes. Come on, Stan, help me out here. I'm dying over here, Stan. I'm dying over here. How are you, man?
I'm good.
Good.
So I've got some mini bears in my mouth. I'm very well, thanks, mate. I'm glad to be here with you all.
Time to get your grub on. Ryan, brother from another mother. What's going on?
Doing good. Just got back from Philadelphia, and I thought maybe what I saw in Philly was just a dream, but nope. Or I guess a nightmare, but keep rolling, I guess.
That it does. Glenn, how are you, sir?
Well, I almost missed the opening. I just remembered 10 minutes ago that there's a show tonight. Now, are we on the Same Old Arsenal or are we on the Bearded Gooner?
We are on both. The answer to that question is yes. We are on both as usual, and we will be switching as usual, continuing on. Bearded Gooner will be at about the hour and 15 mark, as long as the conversation warrants it. Usually does. We're never out of here before 2 hours.
I think I'm having a stroke. Your voice suddenly went down to almost inaudible, and I didn't hear anything you said.
Nobody's here to listen to me anyway, right, boys?
But it feels weird to be on Craig's channel. It's like having a party at your house when your parents go away on vacation. But
then you leave the house too. Like you just let everybody else stay and party. And you're like, I'm going to go to another party.
I don't know. I just picture a house party with the parents gone. You're like the linebacker from the football team with the funnel and the keg, and Ryan is like the guy that clogs up the toilet and passes out on the coat of beds. You know,
call me Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, I digress. I'm doing fine, except I almost forgot about the show.
It's funny, Glenn. I actually did some of that stuff in Philadelphia. Why do you say that?
Why does that not surprise me?
Well, I mean, when you have a cheesesteak every day, a burger, pizza, and then a lot of drinking, it's gonna happen.
That sounds a good life. That sounds like fun, man.
Yeah, it was. A lot of fun.
Let me get Rowan in here real quick. How are things?
We've got Bush.
Things are all right, except for me beefing on Twitter with people. Like they're so angry. So yeah.
I did not see this. I have to investigate.
Apart from that, things are all right. Arsenal is making life miserable, but apart from that, everything's good.
Good. Kick it off here with a little bit of somewhat breaking news. I don't know if it's not news; it's a breaking rumor. But supposedly, the Mirror has run a story that Edu Gaspar will be sacked as early as the end of this week, as late as potentially the middle of next week once the transfer window shuts. Would that not be the most Arsenal thing ever? Keep him in place through the transfer window and then be like, hey, that wasn't good enough. Your history, you're out of here. Lone Star, the Mirror, but it is out there and it is making the rounds on some.
That's odd. I was just looking at it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't know you weren't done.
No. It I don't know. It's out there. It is in the Twitter sphere. Some folks on Twitter that I wouldn't call them in the nose per se, but they're not entirely clueless either. Have picked up the story and said that this is a possibility. So I'm not going to speculate necessarily on the rumor itself, but I want to ask a question. And Rowan, I'm going to start with you. Is Edu really the one to blame here? Like, if there's any credence to this story, is Edu really the one to blame?
I mean, if he has formulated the transfer strategy, then he has to go. If somebody else has done it, then that somebody else, aka MA, that person needs to go. Like, I don't care. You know, some people think that we've had a successful window. I don't think we've had it yet. But wouldn't it be the most Arsenal thing to? To me, it makes more sense if they sack him after the window. Because if they sack him now, we're not getting anyone in. We'll live and die by the hope that there's going to be more signings, and there's going to be more signings who impact the first team. We've spent a lot of money, but most of that money doesn't impact the first team. And that's my problem. That's been my problem with it. So, or there are players that we've already had before, so they don't significantly improve our team since last year. So, you know, that being the case, you know, whoever is to blame needs to go. And if that needs to start from Edu, then he must go. But probably wait until next week.
But so in the story, it basically said that he was not sanctioning the transfers. He was behind the scenes. So it's almost like it's either if there's any credence to this whatsoever, it would say that he's either or there is no either. He's being sacked for negligence. Stan, does it come across that way? And I don't know. Maybe you haven't seen this. Maybe I'm dropping a bomb on all of you. But if Edu is more behind the scenes when it comes to these transfers, how can he really be held liable for them and lose his job?
Well, I've not seen the story. So if Edu is being sacked, what's he being sacked for? You know, if you're going to sack someone, it happens in two ways. You either do something on the spot that's really untenable and you're sacked immediately, you know, you're marched off the premises, or you know it's coming and there's been a discussion and there's going to be like a notice period. So he hasn't been marched off the premises, which means then this is something that's probably been, if it's true, has been formulating for a while. So, this podcast, can you please put this on? So, I
had to put that up. That was funny.
So, if this has been formulating for some time, then we've learned nothing, right? Because we've done exactly the same thing with Raul Sanyehi, who was a guy that was supposed to be looking after transfers. We got rid of him in the middle of a window. So why would you not get all of this done before the window opened and get somebody else in place? So I don't understand why now and what the reason is.
So Ryan and Glenn, I'm going to finish this off with the two of you because you, like me, pay attention and for the most part understand the world of American sports. And so my point to that being, or you have a general manager and the director of football, as it were, to a football club. The general manager in American sport is in charge of hiring the head coach of whatever team in whatever sport it might be. Ownership, for the most part, in American sports, stay out of the picture. They don't get involved in things like this. But to me, who above Edu would be pulling the plug on this? Would it be Vinay, who probably can't spell football, but can spell business because that's his role? Or
he's good at
that. Let Ryan answer first because
well,
I'm gonna put an end to this entire conversation when I go.
Rowan, Rowan, go ahead real quick. What were you gonna say?
Nothing. It's something stupid. It's okay. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So Ryan, if there's again, who would be pulling the plug on Edu if there's any truth to any of this? Who's pulling the plug on it? And kind of the point to bringing all of this up is who's in charge, who's running the show at this football club, because I see Tim Lewis, I see Dick Garlick, I see the Cronkies. Is it what's Edu's role? That's my point to bringing this up. So Ryan, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to laugh at Dick Garlic. I don't know. Honestly, I thought it was the gerbil, football gerbil, to be honest, but I wasn't really sure. But I'm very
would be in a lot better shape than we are right now.
Yeah, so I'm very confused by this because to me, if Edu is on the hot seat, so should Arteta. Like, I don't think it should be Edu more than Arteta because I actually disagree with Rohan. I think our transfer window is actually going very well. Besides the Xhaka extension, it's I guess I wouldn't say very well just because of that alone. But besides, like, who we're bringing in, I think we're bringing in fucking awesome players. I think these players are setting us up for success later. But yeah, we obviously want players now, but nobody wants to come here. We have no European football, and we're trying to be as self-sustaining as we can. And we spent the most money out of any team, so we're spending the money. So you can't blame that. But I really like what we're bringing in and what we're starting to develop here. I just don't think Arteta can develop it. And I don't think Edu can develop it. I don't know. See, I go back and forth about Edu like every day. But to me, if these are true, if he is fighting for his job, then what I said months and months and months ago must be true. Arsenal isn't the project. Arteta is the project. They're going to do whatever they can to keep him around. Because it doesn't make any sense to me why Edu would be in the hot seat, not Arteta. And yes, I know I've read things that Arteta has 5 games. I think it's 5 games after tomorrow to get it straightened up, where he's gone too. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how much I believe this Edu rumor, to be honest. But I mean, if it's like I said, if it's true, we must really be backing Arteta because he is the project.
All right, Glenn.
One of the few articles that I read today was GiveMeSport.com. I know I never heard of them either, but it said the headline is Arsenal transfer news. What agents think of technical director Edu? And it goes on to pretty much everybody giving him a reach around as far as agents for players go, and that he's not going anywhere. And what was the other thing I had here? So it's just funny that you read he's gone and we talk about it. But, you know, in this article that I'm reading here, they talk glowingly of him. He's brought in the likes of Nicolas Pepe, Saliba, Tierney, Partey, Gabriel, Ben White, Odegaard, Aaron Ramsdale, Tavares, and Lukanga. So I can counter that argument of the thing that you read, BG, with this article here that is pretty much, you know...
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, we could talk about 10 minutes about that, but why? He's not going anywhere. Just like Arteta's not going anywhere right now. Look how much money we spent this window. They're not going to chuck him out now. They're not going to chuck him out in the horrible international break coming up after we lose to Manchester City. I shouldn't say that, but
Yeah.
I'm in a bad mood. I apologize for saying that.
What are they going to chuck him out for, though? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, if they don't like the money that's been spent, rather than sack him after he spent the money, do you not sack him before and say, no, you're not buying that guy, and I don't like your decisions, you're out? I don't understand.
But doesn't the club also like approve what he's bought? Like, he's not the only person. Him and Arteta are not the only people that are going through. I'm sure, like, there's other people like on the board that are saying, hey, like, yeah, like, we like this, let's do this. And to double down on what Glenn's saying, Fabrizio Romano and I want to say either Wheatley or Watts both love Edu. I think he's doing a really good job. Other clubs, their hierarchy respect him. He's very professional in getting jobs done, and he's really good at his job. Now, I'm not saying I believe that. I made Rohan leave in a fit of rage, but I don't necessarily believe that. But I hear more good things than bad things, so I don't know. Could be just smoke.
Makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
Look, I'm Arteta out, and if Edu was gone, I'd do a little jig too. But I realize it's not going to happen yet. Everybody has their own opinion, but it's just not going to happen yet. Arteta's clock starts ticking after the international break.
It's not like a dude turns up at Arsenal with a football player, takes them into the boardroom, and all the board are sat there with blindfolds on, and they've got to go up to the player and touch their face and guess who it is. Do you know what I mean? And they're either excited when the blindfold comes off or underwhelmed.
Who are they?
They must know beforehand.
Charles seeing if the girl's fat by feeling her wrist.
But they must know beforehand what the plans are. I don't understand why you'd let them spend the money and then go, right, you've spent our money like shit, you're out. I mean, we've not even had a chance to see these players in action as such. So I don't understand.
Stan, who are you talking to? Because it sounds like you agree with me, but you're arguing with me. I don't think he's going anywhere.
No,
are you arguing with me?
I'm just saying that the story doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The story doesn't make any sense to me because the fact is, this is just my opinion, and I'm going to give you guys an opportunity, but the Granit Xhaka extension, I'm not going to allow that to completely shit on the entire transfer window and say, nope, transfer window sucks. You gave Granit Xhaka an extension.
I agree.
Now it's not. Hey, we bought Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland, but we gave Granit Xhaka the extension, so our transfer window stunk. It's not that good, okay? But I think when you look at the profile of player that we're buying a lot of potential this summer, and it does, it does go to we have locked up the important young players, Emil Smith Rowe. So I don't put any of this on Edu, and the transfer window as a whole, I think, has been pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I would like more. If it ended right now, I think I'd be left wanting a little. But
yeah, but you can't expect a huge overhaul window.
Ryan, before you start yelling at BG for the next 10 minutes, let me say this, okay? Because I yelled at you for saying we were rebuilding. I said Arsenal is the sixth biggest club in the world. We're not rebuilding. Everything that they are doing and even saying points to what you were saying with rebuilding, and I hate to say that. Did you guys, I only read the headline, but Arteta says, and I'm going to paraphrase, it's going to take a long time to straighten this shit out. That's a paraphrase. Of course, he didn't say it that way, but that's a title I saw today in an interview with him. So, Ryan, I think you're right. Unless we get somebody else to play next to Partey, I think this is a rebuilding deal.
How much rebuilding? What is so great about this transfer window? We've spent $130 million. We already had Odegaard last season, and we've seen that creativity was down. We've added Ben White when we were the third best defense in the league.
We lost our best defender, so that's a good thing.
Who's our best defender?
David Luiz. He was our best defender last season.
Well, great. So that
it's an upgrade. I think Ben White is going to be better than David Luiz.
All of a sudden, he's our best defender. Okay, I agree with that, right? But what about the best goal scorer who's absolutely gone to shit? What about the 42% of the home games that we haven't scored since last season? We've not scored in 9 of 20 games. He's lost 20 games in the Emirates, and you think that we need to add squad players to this team, and that's good enough? Why are we not adding starters and moving these guys like Granit Xhaka, all of these guys into the bench? We already have youngsters. What's the point of this rebuilding? We've done the British core. We've done all of this before. How many times are we supposed to rebuild? We've been in transition for 16 years. I'm not having any of it. It's not a.
But you're acting like the players aren't good enough. See, I think they are good enough. I think it's the tactics and the formation that we're putting forward is why we're not good enough. I think it's on the manager. So I mean, I don't understand. I feel like you're asking us to sign I feel like you're asking us to sign Mbappe when we have Aubameyang and Lacazette. Now, they're not playing well. But like based on prior stats and based on what they've done, especially what they've done for the club, they've had their moments. They can perform to the level of, I would say they can perform. They could be in our squad as a top 4 team. So like I don't understand why you're talking about we need to score goals, and I agree with you, but so you want us to upgrade on Aubameyang and Lacazette? Like that's not going to happen. We just gave Aubameyang a big contract extension. If we want to upgrade on him, we have to sell him, and in order to sell him, we need to have a buyer, which I don't think is happening. I read an article. It was on Twitter. I don't even know who tweeted it, but we're open to selling Aubameyang if someone comes in. No one's going to come in. If someone does, then awesome. Let's do it. But you're asking to upgrade on things that we need to ship out, and if no one's buying it, then we need to. I don't think Lecong is a squad. I mean, I guess we recruited him to become a squad player, but he's doing great. It was a fantastic signing. Ben White, he's not a squad player. He's supposed to come in and play next to Gabriel. So I mean, again, what's poo-pooing this whole situation for me is the Xhaka extension. But like, as much as I hate it, I think it's probably the worst thing we've done as a club in quite some time. We've done a lot of dumb things. I understand it. I get why they did it. We didn't get a high enough bid for him, so we're like, you know what? We're going to extend him because we're going to keep him, and he's not going to want to be a bench player. He's not going to want to stay here. So let's give him some incentive to stay here and play for us. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but I understand what they were doing because I don't think they thought that they were going to bring in another center midfielder because Xhaka isn't leaving.
Stan, where do you come down on the transfer window as a whole so far?
There are some players that we've bought that I need to see more of. I need to see more of Ben White. I actually need to see a little bit more of Thomas Partey as well. In the time that we've had him, I never felt that I've seen him. I've never seen him have a good run of games. Every time he seems to just get going, there's always a problem. He has to come out of the team. So, yeah, it's difficult for me to judge the transfer window, and it's not even shut yet. However, I agree with a lot of what Rohan is saying. I agree with a little bit of what Ryan's saying. I mean, this rebuild talk, it's just been rehashed, and we're being told we're in this rebuild. And for me, I think the biggest... are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Fine, thanks. Just my time of the month. I just feeling that this thing with Granit Xhaka, I think it's massive for me. Because if we're being sold a rebuild, but it's all being done on the same shaky foundations, and I just feel like it's all up a little bit half-hearted. We've let much better players go under the asking price, and now when it comes to Xhaka, now you want to play hardball on the price? It's lazy. It's lazy. The only reason that they re-sign Granit Xhaka is because it saves them having to go out, talk to a club, talk to a player, negotiate, and make a deal. And they just don't really want to do that if they don't have to. So I don't believe it's a rebuild. This team will never be rebuilt until all of the players that were here under the Wenger era are gone. I still believe that. I still stand by that.
Does that include for you?
My view. Wait, I didn't give my view.
Hang on a minute. Relax.
Glenn doesn't. No one cares. No, I'm just kidding. I care. I care, Glenn. I care.
Real quick, Stan. Getting rid of the players under the Wenger era, does that include young players that maybe didn't play but came up through the academy?
No, I'm talking about
just first team.
Yeah, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Xhaka, Bellerin, Holding, Chambers, El Neni. Those people that are in those people, I really think that they all just need to go before we can actually call it a rebuild in earnest. And extending Granit Xhaka's contract, for me, it was just convenient and lazy. I've used those two words many times in this pod about that. And I agree with Rohan wholeheartedly. Every time I hear them talking about a rebuild now and future projects, I glaze over. I've heard it so many times, but I'm not seeing evidence of it. My other concern is if we are buying all these players for the future, who's going to manage them? Does that mean then come hell or high water until they're settled, the board are going to, even if we're down in 15th place, the board are going to stick with Arteta? I don't know. Yeah. I don't believe that they'll do that. The outcry would be too big, I think.
Yeah.
As far as
But-
my view on the transfer window, I don't have the comments on, but the one that you put up there by Lee is how I feel also. We're accepting mediocrity. Unless we get somebody to play next to Partey, I think we are accepting mediocrity this season. Just unacceptable. But I realized that. Go ahead.
You back-to-back 8th places, no European football. You think Messi's going to come here? Do you think Sergio Ramos is going to come here?
No,
Do you
dude.
think...
I'm not talking about that. And you're not.
But you're saying we accepted mediocrity. I mean, the Xhaka thing. Yeah, that's
all right. Send out your argument bait somewhere else. Go fishing somewhere else. I'm not going to argue with you.
You don't have to. I'm not arguing with you, but I don't get it. And I'll Rohan, because this is you think this. Like, I feel like you think we can get all these great players that are going to come to our club and transform us. That's not. These players are not going to come. Why? Why would we come here? They know we're in a shithole. We're back-to-back 8th places. We're not in European football. Like, I don't understand why people think that we're Arsenal. We can get whoever the fuck we want. Yeah, well, great. We can't. Like, what was our last biggest signing? Would probably be what? Ozil? Or it could be someone more recent than that. I don't know.
What?
Or no, Aubameyang, I guess. But it's
I would say Aubameyang. I would say Aubameyang's probably the biggest.
And that was because he was at Dortmund, and we're a bigger club in Dortmund, and he agitated to move. We're like, I feel like people, and I don't know if this is how you feel, Rowan, so I'm not going to say this is you, but I do feel other people think that we're invincible in the fact that, like, oh, well, but we're Arsenal though, so we could get relegated into the championship and we could still get Champions League quality players because we're Arsenal. That's just who we are. Like, we can do what the fuck we want. Arteta here, we could have fucking Alan Pardew as our manager. We're Arsenal. We can get what the fuck we want. Throw money at it. We'll make it work. And I've seen it a lot on Twitter. People talking about this, and I don't know. I don't get it. And I agree with Rohan and Stan. I don't like the rebuild. I think we need to get better faster because we have teams like Chelsea who are adding that one piece, and they're going to probably win the league. If City don't add Harry Kane, I think Chelsea are going to give Man City a run for their money. But you have all these teams making big steps, and we're taking maybe one step up and then maybe backpedaling, like probably taking 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, and where it's like, yeah, well, cool, we'll be great in 5 years. But by that time, Chelsea and Man City will probably have completely different starting 11s, but they'll still be at the top because they just have that, that unlimited trust fund.
Okay, I'd like to turn this bus around to the direction I was going before Ryan went off.
Right.
I do not believe we can solve this problem with Arsenal in one transfer window. I never said anything about big names. I think it's incremental steps to getting back to where we all want to be. To me, still time in the transfer window. Get Aouar, and guess what?
Why are you so obsessed with Aouar?
Because we need someone to play next to Partey.
No, he can't.
And he's up for sale.
No. Aouar cannot play next to Partey. Aouar can play a midfield three.
Rowan, you wanted to jump in. Go ahead.
I mean, I think first of all, the issue is the manager, right? Like, and I agree that this team is better than 8th place. So I'm trying to compensate for the manager and saying that we need to add more players because, you have to balance the whole ship one way or the other, right? If you can't balance it with the manager, then you've got to balance it with the players. I'm not saying that you need to sign Messi or Sergio Ramos, but you can sign some quality in midfield, spend in the right areas, right? Like, I feel like creativity is our problem. People think, when I was going off on Twitter after the Chelsea game, people think that it's the result that pissed me off. It's not the result. Football is a game of 90 minutes. A goal is scored in a minute or two, right? Like, I don't care about the goal only. It's about the overall general play, and our general play sucks. That's the problem. How do you fix it? We had Odegaard before. We had him last season. He's come in now again. Lokonga, wait till Partey is back. It'll be Partey and Xhaka in midfield, and Lokonga will go into in the bench. Tavares is supposed to be a backup for Tierney because Tierney, that is one position that we are happy with. Aubameyang is, half the time he doesn't play, or like there's some beef going on there. Nicolas Pepe doesn't get the freedom to play the way he could. He was showing signs in that game. He nutmegged well. Like I was watching it. I was doing a watch along with a friend of mine who's a Chelsea fan, and I said, you might have scored two goals, but Pepe did 2 nutmegs, so we are 2-2 right now, right? Like, I mean, that's the standard, right? So all in all, there are pieces that are there. Where we needed it in central midfield, we have not spent. Where we needed it in attack, we have not done anything. And the biggest thing is that the manager, we've not done anything about him.
And Rohan, to your point, I do not feel Arteta's going anywhere. I don't think the clock even begins to start ticking on him until after the international break. So we can only solve one problem at a time. And somebody next to Partey, I won't even say the name I said before. Somebody next to Partey, to me, that's good. To me, makes us a top 6 team despite Arteta.
How many transfer windows has Mikel Arteta been in now? Is this his 3rd one?
3.
His 3rd one, right? Is that a summer, a winter, and now another summer, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You could make the argument that he had December or January of 2019, but he was brand new. I don't really count that.
So you could say 4 transfer windows then.
You could.
He came in as head coach.
Officially.
So I wouldn't give that, but
Fucking long rebuild then, isn't it? I know they say Rome wasn't built in a day, but fucking hell, it was built quicker than.
I mean, he's had 2 years. He's had the equivalent of 2 years worth of transfer windows. That's 4. So
when people say, "Well, ain't going to all get done in one window," well, it's not one window, is it? It's his fucking 4th one.
Right.
That's,
I think
the numbers, right?
And this is just me, and everybody knows where I stand, but I think we've seen enough of his tactics over the course of the last year, really, and through this preseason, which he's had a full one. And everybody said, well, he needed a full preseason. He needed a full preseason to implement his system and his tactics. He's had that. He's had a full season plus a full preseason, and we're worse off right now, in my opinion, than we were at the end of last year, than we were last March. This is honest. This might sound a little strange, but I think that he is the longer he stays and the longer he goes, he continues to coach out the creativity in the attack. Okay. Defensively right now, I think we'll get better defensively. We're making a lot of like schoolboy errors right now, very basic things we're doing wrong in defense. That'll get fixed, I think. Ben White will be a good center back for us. So I think the defensive issues will get fixed because, again, I've seen people like this 3rd best overall defense or, 3rd best goals conceded last year means nothing. Au contraire, that means a lot. That means a ton. But in attack, there's nothing. And it seems to be getting worse than it was at the end of last year or even in the final third of last season. That's just me. So for me, this whole thing comes down to, I've said it before, and you guys, by all means, you guys seem, I got to tell you, I feel like you guys are angry right now.
Hey, can I just say something? Because 3 days ago, I read that Arteta said Arsenal fans understand what we're doing, and fans that don't understand what we're doing have ulterior motives. So he's basically telling us all we're full of shit and we have an ulterior motive, and we can't see what he's doing. We can't see any progress. We can't see any strategy.
I can see a strategy. I can get okay. Do you guys honestly? Let's go around the horn. Yes or no, Ryan? Do you see a strategy with Arteta? Yes or no? In terms of tactics on the pitch.
Yes.
Yes or no? Do you see Stan? Do you see a strategy with Arteta in terms of tactics on the pitch?
I see a strategy, but it's not one that I think that we should be adopting, and it's one that everybody else knows as well.
Yes,
right, okay.
I see one strategy.
Exactly what Stan said. I just answered your question, but yeah, I agree.
I completely agree with Stan. It's one strategy. He's a stubborn son of a bitch.
we're all in agreement. We can so to his statement then, and I think we're all pretty intelligent when it comes to this. We can all see what he's trying to do. The problem is there's no plan B. And so there isn't.
That's stretching it to me. That's stretching it. To me, that's stretching it to let him off the hook like that, because his lack of strategy is just as important as having one strategy.
No, I'm saying there's no plan B. I'm not letting him off the hook at all.
I wouldn't even go that far to say there's no plan B. The plan A just sucks. It's not even. I mean, like if plan A was good and there was no plan B, I'd be like, all right, well, you can't win them all.
If it's a plan, it's
trying to do what Pep does at City, and City are the defending champs. So the strategy works when you have world-class players, which we don't. But then again, I also think that he's not getting his message across to the players, because it isn't just pass the ball around the donut of despair. Oh, really, Ryan? I thought I was going to get something from you there. Nothing at all.
What do you want to do?
I don't know. I thought you'd react somehow. Anyway, I mean,
it's part of the norm. What can I say?
It's what Pep does. It's what Pep does, but they have a Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield that they can play through, and that's how they play. They play through the midfield. We don't have that, and Martin Odegaard ain't Kevin De Bruyne. So, but there is no plan B, or whatever the plan B is. He doesn't seem to want to use it. So, the idea that real Arsenal fans understand what he's trying to do, okay, sure. We're all real fans, and we all understand what he's trying to do. It's just not working. And his stubbornness. Go ahead, Rowan.
Fuck Arteta for saying that.
Whoa!
Palpatine is back.
Here before he joined Arsenal. When he was at Everton, we watched him here being a mediocre player. He was nothing more than a mediocre player when he was here. We watched him go to Manchester City and put out cones for Pep. And then now he's here, and we'll be here after he's gone as well. Right? He has no right to say that.
You can't, yeah. Oh my god, I hate when he didn't put cones out for Pep. He actually managed. He helped manage Man City, and whether you want to give him credit or not, that's fine. But he did more than put cones out for Pep. And back to what you were saying, Tanner, about how like we're all mad. I think I'm more mad about this conversation because I'm not. Our club, where we're at, has nothing to do with our recruitment. It has nothing to do with our transfer window. It has to do with Arteta. He's got to go. And I guess I'll just talk about my beer of the week real quick. It's basic because I feel basic. Captain Dynamite IPA by New Belgium Voodoo Ranger. But yeah, it's pretty cool, dude. I don't know.
What is that?
But Captain Dynamite IPA. It's pretty cool. I don't know. But yeah. I don't know. People try to like make it this complex thing like, oh, we got to recruit better. We got to do this, we do that. No. Arteta's strategy fucking sucks. So put it this way. When he because there was talk that when Josh was in London, Arteta and him had a meeting at Josh's London hotel. I bet you, and this is probably what happened. Josh was like, "Hey, Arteta, like, what's your plan? What are you gonna do? Like, I want like a rundown of the players you want to see." And Arteta's like, "All right, perfect. I have this PowerPoint presentation perfect for you, Josh. We got this." And he's just gonna show like Man City highlights. That's what we're doing. Like he's like, "Yeah, but," and Josh would be like, "Yeah, but this is Man City." Yeah, I know that, but like they do what we do. And I'm going to copy them because they've won stuff. And, like, we're going to get there eventually. I just need, like, 17 transfer windows. But we'll get there. I'm going to get the players. Give me a couple years. You know, we're rebuilding, right? We're back-to-back 8th places. No one wants to come here. And sure, we got no European football. But, yeah, this is going to be us. It's like looking at a before and after model. But you realize, like, so you got a tattoo on your neck. Interesting. You had a tattoo. Oh, no, better yet, you had the tattoo on your neck before, and after it's gone. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's not the same person. So I don't get it. I think he's really trying to push this Man City agenda because I agree. If you look at like the pass maps and like where people make the most passes to each other, it's the exact. If you look at Man City's, they're the exact same thing. They have the donut of sadness, but it's like a cock ring. It's ferocious. It's mean. It'll tell you what's up, and it wins trophies. So I mean. You know, we can't compete with that, and you can't be instilling that in with this club, especially when you're getting back-to-back 8th places. Yeah, cool, awesome, 3rd place since since Boxing Day, which I hold a little bit more water than most people, but I still don't. It's not good enough. Like we're 0-2, and we're going to a West Brom League Cup game, and I'm not confident. Like I do think we'll win. I think we'll score, but like it's a game that I'm like, I hope we do something. Like I'm praying there's a different team. I mean, I do think it's going to be a different team than what we're used to, but I'm just hoping that like something is just going to change because we got City, and the game's at 7:30, and I'm really debating on waking up to watch the game because I don't want to see my shit get pushed in.
You just encompassed the entire show right there. Not sure I'm coming back to you anymore tonight.
Can I say something to bring it back a little bit?
Then I gotta get paid for the super chat in here.
First of all, you all have ulterior motives, according to Arteta. To me, as the leader of Arsenal Football Club, with 12 million fans worldwide, to divide the fans to me like that is a lack of leadership. Don't say that we have ulterior motives if we're criticizing you. Prove us wrong. It really irks me tremendously that he said that.
Glenn, be excited.
You trying to like give me a heart attack here?
How many times are we supposed to? He's had 4 transfer windows, let's say 3, right? And I wanted to say this when Stan said that we've got to get the players from the Wenger era out, but this is his team now. There is no excuse left that these are players from the Wenger era, because the ones that he didn't want, he's ousted them. You know, I'm looking at the team that played on Sunday. The only the 2 players who were playing there from Wenger's time was Holding and Xhaka, both of whom he has given contract extensions to. Aubameyang is supposed to be our talisman. Again, he's given the contract to him. You know, Lacazette, he prefers Lacazette over Aubameyang, he has given a contract. You know, these are players that we are talking about. Like, where is the Wenger hangover here? Like, he's signed 13 players. He's given contract extensions to 8 others. There's 21 players. Just look at the squad and how big we have, that we had 9 players unavailable, 9 first team players, but we didn't have youth or we didn't have like under 23s in our bench. We filled up the whole bench with our first team players.
Rohan, you're making it so it's not that simple. Like, it's the Ozil contract that they were probably still, honestly, it's funny, Glenn, you may appreciate this, but as a Met fan, they have this thing. I forget what day it is. Glenn, you might actually know. It's called Bobby Bonilla Day. We signed a player, Bobby Bonilla.
When Bobby Bonilla gets his paycheck.
Yeah, Bobby Bonilla hasn't played for the Mets in how long, Glenn? I don't even know. It's been a minute. Every year we pay him. I also forget how much money because I'm not in tune to baseball. We pay him a couple million every year, and he hasn't played for us in a couple. And it's like, I know it's not to that extreme. I get that, but there's a lot of players during Wenger's era that we overpaid. And I'm not saying it was Wenger. I'm not saying it's his fault, but it was during him in charge that we shouldn't have paid. And yeah, you're right. I completely thank you, Silas. It's July 1st. I completely agree with you. Like, giving Xhaka an extension doesn't make any sense, but I just you have to give the regime a little bit of slack. I'm not saying they're completely to blame. No, I don't. But I do think that the way we negotiate, the way we give players extensions and raises, it's biting us, and it's still biting us, whether the players are here or not. It has affected our transfer window for a few years now.
Can I just say one thing? Because BG, you never mentioned this, and all I did was think about you when I saw the story where they are considering replacing financial fair play with a salary cap in the Premier League. And for you people in the UK, a salary cap means every team is only allowed to spend a certain amount of money, and if you spend on anybody else over that amount, you add an additional dollar that goes into a pot for the lower teams. That is a salary cap. So, if that happens, it'll be a little bit easier for Arsenal. But the way it's set up right now, we're not going to spend like crazy. That's why I mentioned Aouar, Ryan, because I know you don't rate him, but I do. And I think, since he is officially for sale for 20 million, we could really improve our odds of making top 6 this year.
I don't really want to stand. I'm giving you the last word here. Take your time. We got to move on from this because I kind of feel like we're just going round and round here with the same thing over and over again. Yeah, go ahead, Stan, go ahead.
All right, who just put the Beach Boys into my head?
Couple of things, I'm not angry. Me personally, I'm just kind of apathetic a little bit about Arsenal. I just find that I'm repeating the same stuff. I'm using the same phrases. I'm saying the same things because there's nothing else that's happening with Arsenal at the moment that's making me have anything new to add to the story. I want to address London Lone Star, who is shouting at us constantly that we're in a pandemic. You're talking nonsense. We're in a pandemic. No one is spending except for Chelsea and City, even though we've spent more than City in a pandemic. I don't understand what your argument is, London Lone Star. You're shouting at us that we're in a pandemic, yet we've spent 130 million. So, is it not conceivable that the money's not being spent correctly?
I think what he's trying to say is like us selling players, because I actually agree with him. I think we're spending money, but it's a lot harder.
But we had a bid for Xhaka. We turned it down. We wanted to turn that down. That's the second bid that we turned down for Xhaka. We had Hertha Berlin a season and a half ago. Now we're turning this one down. It doesn't make any sense. If it's in a pandemic, then we should be glad for the offer. We should take that money, add it to the huge that we seem to have, be decisive, and sign another player. Not
be ruthless.
Not take the convenient way out, which is what.
Be ruthless. I completely agree, Stan. Stan, can I ask you a question to follow up on how you feel about Arsenal right now, which you said was apathetic? Is there anything they can do between now and the end of the transfer window, realistically, that could make you a little optimistic?
It's the results. I'm at the stage now where it's results. So, we play probably BA tomorrow. And, that's a game that we should win. We have to get some respite. We haven't scored any goals yet this season. We have to do something tomorrow. So hearing stories that Mikel Arteta is going to field a full-strength team, he has to. He has to get them firing. The worst thing he can do is rest them and take them out of the way and put in a load of youngsters and let them pick up the slack. Because if it does go wrong, it'll probably impact them more. These players need to dig themselves out of the shit, not get anyone else to do it for them. So he has to fill a first team, and they have to, because you have to look at it that we're still in pre-season then, right? This is another training game. You can't take people out because the first team ain't firing on all cylinders yet. They're not clicking.
Mm-hmm. Oh, harumph! I'm with him. Ditto.
That is a tremendous segue into talking about the match tomorrow. So West Brom Carabao Cup, it's the second round. We are at the Hawthorns, and speaking of lineups, so depending on the lineup that he puts out, I think he'll answer this question for all of us. But I want to ask you guys, the 4 panelists here, and of course the chat box, is this a must-win game? Glenn, is this a must-win game?
In the sense for me that social media will be crazy if we lose this game, but in a sense for me, because we don't have many things we're in this year. I enjoy watching Arsenal, even this horrible version of it. So for me, it's a must win.
Rowan,
but in that respect,
Rowan, go ahead. Must win.
Absolutely, because this will set us up for the next game, right? And why should we not play for a cup? Are we so high and mighty that the League Cup is too, shit for us? We can't have that attitude, right?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Of all people should be able to recognize it, that one FA Cup win has bought him so much time now. If he didn't win that, I think he would have been gone, right? Mm-hmm. So, what is the reason for not expecting it? We haven't scored once this season. Our goal of the month is going to be a mockery if we don't score tomorrow, because I don't see us scoring against City.
Danny at Bergkamp Wonderland had such a great tweet. He said, "Will Arsenal have any goals to contribute to the August goals of the month?" Because we've been shut out for 2 games.
Gone on other days when, do you remember that time when Dennis Bergkamp for goal of the month or match of the day, he got nominated for first, second, and third for goal of the month. Do you remember that? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, that was a true thing. I can't remember what month it was or what season.
It was the same thing when he scored that one against Newcastle, and then he had scored 2 more. I think
it was around that period.
Yeah.
But I mean, there you go. One player getting nominated for all. I mean, that's not happening.
Stan, is tomorrow must win?
It is a must-win game. It's a must-win game for the players, right? They say that winning is infectious. They haven't won in a long time. They need to get that winning feeling back. This is the reason why we can't bin off the first team and field a load of second string and youngsters. These first team, they've not earned that. They've not earned a day off. Yeah, and we can't risk another competition that we're out of, because if we get put out of that competition, then there's a lot of players that aren't going to get any minutes this season. It's a must-win game for the players.
Yeah, and I want full squad too. I want Saka on the left, Pepe on the right. I guess Lack is still out, so I want Aubameyang down the middle. I want the full McGilla.
The only change that I would probably
you're fucking nuts
is the goalkeeper. I wouldn't mind seeing this Ramsdale in the Carabao Cup game, right?
Glenn, before I come to you, Glenn, just real quick, I think you're going to be very disappointed if that's what you want to see. Glenn. Ryan.
Why should I not expect that?
Because that's not. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think we're gonna play a lot of first team players, but a lot of Nenny's. I mean Cedric, maybe Chambers. I don't know. I see it. Chambers didn't play for us the weekend, so I feel like. What? Are
you guys Wile E. Coyote and you just keep falling for the same shit all the time? We can't take anybody for granted and put El Neni as the starter in midfield.
I'm not saying I agree. I'm just telling you what he's going to do. I'm not saying I agree with what he's doing.
Glenn, it's not taking it for granted. It's the third match of the season, and these guys just I don't know, but just what the world of football seems to say, they're not up for 90 on Sunday, 90 on Wednesday, and then another 90 on Sunday. So it's going to be a matter of picking and choosing, who's going to get the 90. So that's why
I think we will see a few first team players that would start against Man City.
You're gonna have to.
But it's not like I think El Neni starts. I think our right back's going to be
Aubameyang starts. I think.
Yeah, I think Aubameyang might start. I mean, I talked to Tanner with this on Beards and Cannons, and I would love to see a back three. I mean, with injuries, Tierney apparently is fine, but I really want to see us play a back three just because I think we need to play a back three against City. So I think now would be the time to do it. But I mean, if we do that, then Tierney's going to play. Chambers is probably going to play. But yeah, I mean, I think Tavares playing him wouldn't be a big deal. On Nene, we'll probably play with maybe Lukonga. I think I wouldn't be shocked if you see Pepe and Saka.
Can I ask Ryan? Are you just predicting? What Arteta's going to do, or are you saying what you're going to do? Because I don't know if I should be mad at you or agree with you.
I think it's what Arteta's going to do. It's Chris Wheatley on Twitter said that it's going to be a lot of first team players, but a lot of like bench first team players. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would put I wouldn't go. If it was to me, I wouldn't go gung-ho first starting 11, like our best 11 right now. I wouldn't do that, but I wouldn't also be putting out Bellerin, El Neni, Eddie, and Kedia. I know Eddie's injured, but like I'm saying, I wouldn't be doing that either. And I guess to your question, Tanner, is this game a must-win? I think for the players it is. I think Stan kind of answered it pretty perfectly for me. I think as for the players, yeah, because you have players like El Neni, Cedric, who probably are. I mean, El Neni's linked with a few clubs, so he might leave. But you have players that are squad players that are linked, or that are not linked that moves away, that are probably staying. So to them, this is either I win right now, or I'm not going to fucking see the field. So they have to win, And again, I agree with what Rohan was saying, how we need to win trophies because we're not above anything. We should want to compete for trophies. And let's face it, we're not in European football, so we need to play all the games we can because they're limited.
Yeah, I mean, when I ask the question if it's a must-win, I don't mean is it a must-win for Arteta to save his job because I don't believe that. I'm actually, unfortunately, starting to come around on the theory that his job is not in jeopardy because this is like the first real transfer window that he's had, despite the fact that he's had 4. This is like the first real transfer window he's had to bring in his players, and they're going to give him a very long rope. And he is eventually going to hang the entire club and its fan base with said rope. That being said, Rowan, what does your who are you rotating in and out tomorrow? Talk to me a little bit about
In reality, I feel the only players who have earned time off is Tierney, Lokonga. These are the guys who have earned the time off. They should be rotated. Leno needs to be rotated, obviously, because he's because we've got Ramsdale and he needs to play. I could say Murray again, another signing, Arteta signing, right? Like another Arteta signing. He's probably got PTSD. He can't play. So he's got to go out. We've got to play a few other centre backs. But what I want is majority of our attackers to play. I don't mind chopping and changing a little bit in defense, but our attackers should play because they're not in that rhythm. They're not playing in sync. They don't know if they close their eyes. They don't know where the other player is. That's not happening. And try to play something that's not Kieran Tierney just like smashing the ball into the box and you're trying to score from that, because that's not working, right? Everybody knows that's what we're doing. So creative players need to play. Our starting players, defense wise, you can change.
Okay. I like this insurance basket guy. I tried to look him up on Twitter. I couldn't find him. Our best 11, sure, it would wildly change as you ask people, but just ask about midfield. Who do you want in midfield, guys, against them, West Brom? Who do you want in midfield? Tell me, please. Let's see if anybody's learned lessons.
Well, the options are limited, to be honest. I mean, boy, oh boy, it
Would you start with Partey?
He's hurt.
He's hurt? I thought he was better.
Oh, he's not even training right now.
God damn it, Glenn.
God damn it, Glenn. No, I'm kidding.
No, you know how many times a day I hear that? That just falls right off me.
No,
Did you call our son's doctor? No, I forgot. God damn it, Glenn. I get it all the time.
Yeah, no, he's not fit. He's not due back in training until like next week, or full training until next week. So, I mean, your options in midfield are Sambi Lokonga.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. I agree. I think Lokonga needs a rest, but I think he's going to rest Xhaka because Xhaka is going to play every single minute of the Premier League. Do I like it? Obviously not, but I think that's what's going to happen. So I think naturally Xhaka is automatically going to take a rest.
I start with Lokonga in midfield, and I got to think about it. I guess Lokonga and Xhaka. That's our next two best midfielders.
Odegaard is available for selection. So there's that. Does Miguel Aziz stand? Do you think Miguel Aziz and those massive tree trunks of thighs of his can get a shout tomorrow?
Well, we should be able to field some youngsters against West Bromwich Albion, but I really feel that we need. If we can get a win against West Bromwich Albion and we go into the City game, it gives us a bit of respite, and it tells us that the players can play, but up against some teams in the league that we're just a bit shit. If we're shit again tomorrow, it's for me, it's a bigger problem.
I gotta say it. Tell me when you're done, Stan. I just gotta say one sentence. Just one sentence. It's like we cannot take anybody for granted.
Exactly.
Best 11.
I agree, Glenn, but we have to rotate the squad. Our best 11, which again it varies, but I mean, I think if you get it together. It's not too many
Are we-
different players.
Are we at a stage where we got to look at, like, before every game, we got to look at the players and say, right, who's fit and can play? Right, that's who we're going to pick. We'll get to the next game. We'll do the same thing when we get to the next game. Do you know what I mean? We get through the next training session, and then we'll see who we can pick. Maybe the squad's not big enough to forward plan to say, okay, let's take this guy out because we're going to need him for that game. And let's take him out and rest him. Do you know what I'm getting at? I don't think our squad's big enough for that yet.
I see, that's
agree.
crazy. I think our
agree.
squad's too big.
Really?
The best way
Yeah.
to develop team chemistry is through playing games. And I want our best 11 out there. We need to develop some chemistry.
Glenn, listen, I agree with you.
agree.
This is in FIFA. Someone's going to get hurt. I agree with you.
Yeah, you're right. That's the thing. I guess spot on. I'm just thinking that, Ryan. This is the problem that we're going to have. Is some of these youngsters that we're depending on are going to get hurt or they're going to burn out. It's a lot of games. People like Emil Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, and I think maybe even Tierney. Tierney seems to have some problems with his muscles or whatever. We've got to be so careful, but we ain't got a lot of choice. I'd love for us to maybe rest Sambi Lokonga, but then that means Xhaka won't get any rest. But Xhaka doesn't seem to need much rest. He seems to be bionic.
Mm-hmm.
And then we play Elneny. But if I had my way, I would try Elneny and Lokonga. But that's just me. I'd like to try that. I'm just done with Xhaka personally. I just want to, my wish would be that we don't use him unless we really have to. But that's not going to be how it is.
I mean, I guess because we haven't talked to this bias. I mean, maybe I'm too biased. How bad was he against Chelsea? Right?
Yeah, man.
Isn't that crazy? He was fucking awful.
Yeah.
Everyone was yelling about who to blame for the first goal. I was like, you gotta blame Xhaka. He's just
Xhaka was supposed to.
There's no idea what's going on.
I agree. Thank you.
Ryan-
That's the first time I heard someone say that. I've been thinking that since I watched the game. It's like
Ryan-
Xhaka was supposed to be covering.
In
Ball watching.
fairness, you blame Xhaka for the Kennedy assassination.
No, fucking Canada. But do you disagree with me? So you disagree with me right now?
He was in Texas that weekend, so
I know. Right? See what I'm saying? See what I mean, Stan?
That's fucking.
I mean,
really
again, do we put the blame? We talked about this yesterday. Do we put the blame solely on one person? Is he at fault? Yes. Does he bear 100% of?
I didn't say I didn't say that he was to blame.
You just said that.
I'm
Xhaka
kind of
was
annoyed
to
right now,
blame
Tanner,
for
because
the goal.
yeah,
I understand how Ryan feels. Right? I understand how Ryan feels. Ryan's been sold a rebuild, a refit, a refurbishment, right? It's like, and they basically just, instead of like building a mansion, they just put a new door in the caravan, and they're like, here you go, it's brand new, and it's not, and that's what we've been sold. And I agree wholeheartedly with you, Ryan. This fucking extending the window's not even shut yet, and we've already made that decision that we're going to give this guy a contract. What is the rush? Why couldn't we have given him a contract in October? It's not like his contract's running out in 20 minutes. I don't understand. And it's really put a dampener on the whole summer for me, because that part of where he plays in the pitch is so integral to how you play. And we've got this fucking guy in there who slows the game down. He ball watches. When people go, if he can't tackle them, he brings them down like he's in the WWE. It's not a rebuild, man. And it's not a rebuild. It's bullshit, man.
It's so funny how scared he was of Lukaku that whole entire game. We had to have Lokonga man mark him, and Lukonga is a little guy. He was trying to pull Lukaku down by his shorts in the second half at some point. He got a yellow for it. But yeah,
so then
Tanner, he had a shitty game. I don't understand why you have to bring up the fact that I don't like him.
That is not that you're.
I guess I'm a little offended that you had to say that.
Look, when
Yeah.
Xhaka, real quick, bro. I know that you're in.
We were sold. Hang on, I just want to ask. Someone said this. We were sold. I remember Ivan Guzidis sitting there and telling me, right, I'm going to fucking be excited and be surprised, and we're going to fucking compete with Bayern Munich and all these things. Right? And what happened when we played Bayern Munich next? What happened over them two legs? We weren't even at that. We didn't even get a look in, mate. Do you know what I mean? Not even a sniff.
But at least we scored one goal. Now it would be 5-0. That's the problem, you know. So, but Xhaka was bad. Mari was bad in that game. But what made them worse was the tactics. You know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
We played, you know, just so much space. They could overload on the side. Tierney had to come inside. Saka needed to go back. For me, in that first goal, Saka needed to track back, which he didn't, and that was what led to the goal. Of course, he got turned, and there's a video of the same goal that Lukaku has scored for Inter Milan, exactly the same. Have they not done any research on it? Don't they know what Lukaku is all about? Lukaku played 90% of the game looking towards his own side of the field. He was just toying with our defenders, and they didn't have any clue why. Like, have they not seen Lukaku before? He's not a youngster who's just burst on the scene. He's done so many videos. Once he's got hold of you, once he's rolled you, it's game over. But we were naive there. And all of this is down to the tactics and the training. It's not just the personnel. There wasn't one person couldn't stop it.
And I could not agree with you more. Like, I think that's what frustrated. And I think you mentioned this early on in the show. Like, that's what frustrated you. Like, not the score, not us losing to Chelsea. For me, it was we knew what they were going to do. They did it. We didn't adjust to it. We kept doing what we wanted to do, and then they just scored again. And it was like, well, like I don't get it. Like, we knew exactly what their plan was, and we didn't even plan for it. And then they score. Okay, fine. Let's adjust. We can adjust. Nope, didn't adjust. And then it's like, well,
we didn't change anything.
Exactly.
Let me address
comes down to the manager.
And just one thing, Stan. Like, this game, as terrible as it was to lose it, it put some perspective because we were getting too gassed that we beat them 1-0 when we got dominated in that game as well. Like I said, football is about 90 minutes. If you play shit football for 90 minutes, more often than not, you're going to lose. There might be occasions where they just have a Timo Werner who's just not going to score and a Jorginho who's almost going to pass it into his own net. That's going to happen, but most of the times you're going to lose. But everybody was getting so gassed that, oh no, we beat them 1-0. We beat them 1-0. We should have lost that game like we lost this one. And this one also we could have drawn, actually. There was a penalty shout, which in my opinion was a penalty. There was a header that this guy had, Rob Holding had. Even if it finished 2-2, which it wouldn't have because Chelsea were playing in second gear the whole second half. But even if it did finish 2-2, I would be just as livid. That's
okay.
The problem.
I agree with you, Rohan, about tactics, but to me, it was obvious with Tierney having to come in that it was Xhaka's job to cover that wing, and he did not do it. And believe me, after Xhaka told us all to fuck off when he came off the pitch that time, there was a long time where he could do nothing right for me. But I realized that, yes, he does do some good stuff. But, you know, like the other day, he did an interview where he said, I never wanted to leave Arsenal. And I didn't even read the article. I just was like, you are so fucking full of shit. You're not fooling me. But, you know, he was supposed to cover that way. So, you know, why can't – I wish that Arteta could answer supporters' questions because the press is not asking the right questions.
Can I answer London Lifestyle says, so why didn't Tierney demand Saka drop back? This is the problem. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think it's very hard and difficult for the players on the pitch to have any of that communication and that in-game management when you've got Mikel Arteta for 90 minutes barking at you, telling you where to go, telling you what to do, telling you what to do the next time in that situation. Because you've got to remember, right, if you're on the pitch and something goes down or whatever, and Mikel Arteta wants to start telling you, this is what you need to do the next time when that happens, Glenn. Glenn, you're not watching the game. Man. You're not watching the game. You're listening to me now. The game's going on around you.
I didn't even notice that, Stan. The American announcers pointed out that Arteta was just standing there barking orders while Tuchel was sitting down in his chair. And he did it for the whole frigging game.
So
it's almost like, you know, the chair in the dugout that the manager sits on, it's still got its cellophane on because it's never been used. And when it was delivered, still brand new.
This is interesting because this actually came up yesterday on the Hybrid Squad with Sophie and Kevin Campbell. This exact conversation came up. Kevin Campbell is a former player. And the question was asked directly, Kevin, when you're on the pitch and your manager is barking instructions at you with a full stadium in full throat, can you hear that manager? He said, no. I can hear my teammates. I can hear the players on the opposition, but I do not hear my manager. He's too far away for the most part. Players on that side of the pitch can probably hear him if they're close to him. But in what we're talking about right now in the first half, in both of Chelsea's goals, I doubt very seriously that Bukayo Saka heard anything, including Kieran Tierney. I don't think any of them heard a word that Arteta was shouting at them. So
Is it possible?
That's why
Is it possible?
Ordered a megaphone off Amazon.
yeah.
Is it possible that I'm not making excuses for Arteta? I'm just looking at it a little differently. Is it possible that one of the players that is always close to that touch line, he is relaying the orders to that person who relays it to the? I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
big fucking
I'm
game
gonna
of telephone.
It just seems to me like if you're sitting there barking orders for the entire 90 minutes and your players can't hear you, then that's just for show. So to me, it makes.
Hang on though, Glenn, because remember, we just went through an entire season where I think maybe 25% of the stadium was full, was allowable twice, and there were no fans beyond that. So I think from there, yeah, I think they are used to hearing him because they could hear him last year. One thing that stuck out to me about this entire, and I think this is a very interesting conversation to me. One thing that really stuck out was in the second half. Bernd Leno had the ball in his hands. He just made a save. He had the ball in his hands.
Taking my thunder.
He came sprinting. I mean, it was like someone was mugging his mother. And he came sprinting to the top of the 18-yard box, and you couldn't hear him, but you could see him screaming at his players to move up the field. And you know what they did? They stood there and looked at him. So that's what I'm saying. What's that, Sam?
That's exactly what I'm saying. The game is still going on around them. The opposition hasn't stopped.
Well, but you can hear that. You can see how animated your goalkeeper is in trying to get you to push up the field, and they're not. They're just standing there. So
I just got a vision that the players on the pitch, right? Even when there's a crowd and nobody wants to look over to the dugout in case he catches his eye, they can feel him shouting at them. They can feel it, but they don't want to look over there because then he'll be like, "You."
Maybe they have some. They have some hand signals. Maybe they have some hand signals. It just seems ludicrous to me to be shouting when your players can't hear you. It just seems ludicrous to me.
So it begs the question then, doesn't it? We've got about 5 minutes left here on Same Old Arsenal, but it does beg the question that if Mikel Arteta is a former player, so he himself should know this. That if the players can't hear you, what are you doing? Why are you barking at them?
He's been through the Pep Guardiola Academy of coaching, no? Which is like whenever
doesn't do that, does he? Pep doesn't do that. Pep sits. Remember, Pep sits in his chair. And he's always talking to the guy next to him like that. He's always like.
Whenever the camera is on, then Pep gets super animated. No, that's what.
Anybody agree with the $5 Lawrence just spent for me to put that up there?
I would love to see it, but I do not agree with that at all.
Lauren, somebody else just said you're in dreamland if you think he's going to be going after Manchester City.
No.
Think about it this way. They just spent 130 million pounds for him to supposedly get in his players. They're not going to sack him 3-4 matches after that, and not give him the opportunity to work with these players that he just got in. I don't agree with it. But
finally,
that's the way that they're going to think.
1 hour and 13 minutes after the show started, we're on the same page, BG.
I think we've been on the same page more than that.
Okay.
Glenn, you're so gullible.
Rowan, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
The reason why he's not going is also because this is Arsenal Football Club, right? We expected to lose game 2 and 3. We just unexpectedly lost game 1. So in theory, we're just 3 points behind where we should have been. That's the thinking process.
Can I say something? So it's slightly a little bit off the topic, but it just kind of explains how I actually feel as an Arsenal supporter. I mean, I've supported the club since I was about 8, something like that, 9 years old. And to watch my football team get to a stage where they go a season unbeaten. When we reached that pinnacle and we got presented with that golden Premiership trophy, I honestly thought, right, that there was going to be more to come. That once you reach that kind of a pinnacle, the only way to go is a little, and we just seem to the trajectory just seemed to just go straight downhill. And it's almost like if aliens landed today and I showed them the last episode of Match of the Day, and then I sat there and tried to tell them how Arsenal went a season like undefeated, they'd be like, "Get out of here, man. What are you talking about?" I know we've just landed on the planet, but we're not green. We're not. We are green, but that's to do with the atmosphere on our planet. But you know what I'm saying. But yeah. I just find it so difficult as an Arsenal supporter to watch my club reach that height, that pinnacle, and not build on it. It really feels to me that we did not build on such a solid platform that we'd got by then, and we've never looked anywhere near to getting back to those kind of days. And I find it heartbreaking as an Arsenal fan to see that, and I find it hard to understand how we just let that period slip through our fingers and slip away so badly. And I look at the money that we've spent, and I compare the money that we've spent to other clubs that are around us, and I look at the gap between us, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. People go on about the Cronkies, and the main gripe is that they don't spend money. Well, whether the money's coming from banks, whether they're fucking robbing the Tooth Fairy, they're getting money from somewhere, and we are spending money, but it just doesn't seem to be helping us. Sometimes it's like, I wish we never spent the fucking money. And we saved it up, and then we go out and spend a big wad on something really good. I don't know. I'm just at the stage now where I'm running out of ideas, running out of excuses, and it's just sad to see where we are. 8th season, 2 seasons in a row now. It's not an anomaly. It wasn't like something we just fucked up. 2 seasons, and the second one, no more Europe, and the decline. If there was a graph, you would see that there is a decline, finishing from 4th, going and finishing in the Champions League, to then managing to just scrape into the Europa Leagues, getting to the Europa League final, not being able to do that now. And it's just, it's such a decline.
I'm so fucking sad right now. I need a box of tissues. Stan, that was the most depressing speech I've heard in a long time.
I'll be back in 1 minute.
Real quick. Ryan, I'm going to be real quick and then go ahead. The thing that's most depressing to me, guys, is we're 2 games into the season and I feel so hopeless. This is supposed to be the time of year where you have hope and you're energized and excited. And that tank is completely empty for me. And that friggin' hurts.
I was just going to say, which cheering me up is shout out to Lone Star Lunder, his over 40 women's team that he coaches called Goals Gone Wild. I think that's an absolutely phenomenal name. And shout out to his team. 5 games unbeaten. Hopefully they're not all 1-0s. Hopefully you're actually scoring goals and you can live up to the name of Goals Gone Wild. But yeah, I think that name is absolutely phenomenal, and that's awesome.
Wow. He coaches a bunch of MILFs playing football.
Oh my God. I don't know if not all my girls are over 40, but I coach 20 to 30, some in their 40s.
Okay.
So I understand. I
didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And here I am sitting around the house with nothing to do. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, you're not a 40-year-old woman, are you, Glenn?
No, but they need managers.
We are done on same old Arsenal.
I
for
think
the
I'm
season.
done too. I think I'm about to be canceled.
We are moving over to Bearded Gooner Media. If you haven't seen the messages or the chat in the live chat, switch over to Bearded Gooner Media. With us, we will continue the conversation over there. For those that will not be following us over, thank you all very much for watching. We certainly appreciate you guys. Thank you all very much. And we will see you guys all next Tuesday. I hate this.
Oh my God, it's a thing.
It's yeah.